Welcome to Standard Voice News Channel. I am Samira Ibrahim. Here are your top stories for today. Petroleum industry bill to be sent to the National Assembly soon. 3 soldiers, 8 insurgents killed in Kukawa attack. Nigerian military arrests 3 foreigners with special ammunition. On business, NNPC to generate 19 trillion revenue between 2021 to 2023. And on the international scene, Buhari and ECOWAS leaders demand release of ousted President Ibrahim Keita. Now the news in details. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Svtv, has said the Petroleum Industry Bill (PIB) will be presented to the National Assembly in the next few weeks. Mr. Silva said the executive arm will be requesting the lawmakers to specially reconvene to receive the beginning liberation on the bill. According to him, the bill is key to the repositioning of Nigeria's oil and gas industry under its post-COVID-19 agenda. The news agency of Nigeria, NAN, reports that the minister spoke on Thursday during a webinar organized by the Nigerian Association of Petroleum Explorationists, NAPI, with the theme Fiscal Regime Design, Government Revenues and Investors' Interest in Nigeria Oil and Gas Sector. Governor Aminu Bello Masari has reminded people that the consequences of keeping quiet means one had aided, abated, and helped rapists to escape justice. Alhaji Aminu Bello Masari made the remark when he addressed a rally organized by the Trade Union Congress (TUC) in collaboration with the Women Commission at the front view of the Government House, Katsina. The governor also asked women to be bold enough to raise alarm for culprits to be apprehended and dealt with by the law. Alhaji Aminu Bello Masari explained that the state government had, through the House of Assembly, promulgated a law that rape with murder should be followed with death sentence, while rape without murder should be followed up with capital punishment. The Kaduna State Governor Nasir Rafaeli has accused the Nigerian Bar Association of embracing a one-sided narrative after the lawyers' body vowed to pressure and withdraw his participation from next week's NBA Annual General Conference. In a statement on Thursday, Mr. El-Rufai said he had accepted the invitation to participate in the conference as part of his commitment of having a national conversation and the evaluation of a national consensus. Mr. El-Rufai had been listed among speakers to take part in the panel discussion during the conference, which holds August 26th to 29th, but opposition of his inclusion by several lawyers forced the NBA leadership to withdraw the invitation extended to the governor. The Nigerian Defense Headquarters on Thursday confirmed that 3 soldiers lost their lives during a fire shootout with members of the ISWAP in Kukawa town of Borno State on Tuesday. The military also said 8 ISWAP members were shot dead, while several others escaped with bullet injuries. The attack, which took place on Thursday evening, had sent the few residents who were returning to the community after years of displacement fleeing again. One of the civilian survivors, Ali Gonimi, told journalists upon his arrival in Maiduguri on Wednesday that the attackers were in full military kits. He said they were all scared upon seeing their black flags with a white Arabic inscription on it. They looked as much like soldiers because they were all dressed in camouflaged military uniforms. The Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development on Thursday distributed relief items to no fewer than 5,576 internally displaced persons, IDPs, in Wasa camp in Federal Capital Territory. Its Minister, Sadiya Farouk, said the gesture was part of the celebration of World Humanitarian Day and commemoration of the 1-year anniversary of creation of the ministry. She said they were there with 80 bags of 50 kg rice, 15 bags of 100 kg beans, 25 gallons of 25 liters of vegetable oil, 500 bundles of duvets, 5 bags of sugar, 22 cartons of milk, and 100 pieces of 6 yards of textile materials. Ms. Farouk said these items will be distributed to 879 households comprising 5,576 IDPs in Wasa IDP camps in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. 3 persons were killed while many sustained injuries as 2 rival cult groups clashed in the Lube community, Kana local government area of Rivers State. An eyewitness who simply identified himself as Barino said members of the Iceland and Greenlanders cult groups fought in broad daylight of supremacy. He said that the 3 persons were shot to death in an exchange of gunfire between the rival cult groups in the area. The spokesperson of the police command in Rivers, Nmandi Umoni, a superintendent of police, confirmed the development, adding that normalcy had since been restored in the area. He said 3 persons died in the clash, contrary to media report that 10 persons were killed. Among the deceased are 2 cultists and a chief who is said to be supporting one of the cult groups. President Muhammadu Buhari has appointed ex-Super Eagle star Daniel Amukachi his special assistant on spot. Amukachi's new appointment is coming about 5 months after he was initially named as Nigeria's football ambassador by President Buhari. A statement issued by the media office of the Minister of Youth and Sport Development, Sunday Diary, on Thursday said the appointment of Amukachi has since taken effect. The press release confirmed that a letter of appointment dated August 17 and signed by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Bas Mustafa, has since been handed to the former Everton and Bekistas forward. Amukachi is expected to advise the President on all sports matters. The Nigerian military says it has smashed a notorious arms smuggling syndicate and intercepted some foreigners with arms and special ammunition concealed in their vehicle in Sokoto State. The coordinator, Defense Media Operations, John Eneche, said this at the update briefing on military operations across the country on Thursday in Abuja. Mr. Eneche, a Nigerian Army Major General, said 3 personnel of Niger Republic were arrested during operations at Dantudu in Sabon Birni local government area of Sokoto State. He also said that the Operation Sahel Sanity troops deployed at Forward Operating Base, Sabon Birni local government area on August 15th, smashed a notorious illegal arms smuggling syndicate during an undercover operation. He said that the group specialized in massive arms supply to bandits in the northwest from across the international borders. 208 Nigerian citizens departed New Jersey for home on Thursday night in the 9th evacuation flight from the U.S. Barring any future change in plan, this is the final repatriation flight organized by the federal government for citizens stranded in the U.S. due to the coronavirus pandemic. It came barely 24 hours after the 8th flight in which 94 Nigerians were evacuated from Houston, Texas, to join friends and families back home. A total of 2,322 citizens were repatriated in the U.S. lap of the evacuation that began on May 10th. 6 of all 9 flights operated by Ethiopian Airlines originated from Newark Liberty International Airport, New Jersey, and were coordinated by the Consulate General of Nigeria in New York. The anti-graft agency Efcc on Thursday said it secured the conviction of 2 Lebanese it accused of money laundering to the tune of $890,000. Mrs. Justice I.M. Sani of the Federal High Court in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, sentenced the duo after they pleaded guilty to the charges, according to a statement by the EFCC. The agency said the Lebanese Chamdessin Mohammed and Dina Kali were apprehended by the Nigerian Customs Service in Port Harcourt and handed over to the EFCC on August 12 for further investigation. The Commission said their offences run contrary to the Section 2 subsection 3 of the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2011 as amended and punishable under section 2 subsection 5 of the same act. An upper area court sitting in Kasuwan Nama in Jos, North Central Nigeria on Thursday sentenced an 18-year-old applicant, Abiniku Dauda, to 1 year imprisonment for stealing 3 crates of eggs. The judge, Lawali Suleiman, sentenced Dauda after he pleaded guilty to stealing the eggs worth 3,150 naira. Justice Suleiman, however, gave the convict an option to pay a fine of 30,000 naira. The judge said the punishment will serve as deterrent to others who will want to indulge in such criminal act of stealing. Earlier, the prosecution counsel Inspector Ibrahim Gokwat told the court that the case was reported at Mr. Ali Police Station on August 13th by Mr. Jack Yakubu of Equus Farms Jos. On business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) on Thursday said it will generate a total of 19.545 trillion naira between 2021 and 2023. The corporation stated this in an interactive session organized by the Senate Joint Committee on Finance and National Planning on 2021 to 2023 Medium-Term Expenditure Framework and Fiscal Strategy Paper (FSP). It also said the report on missing 48 million barrels of crude oil was unfounded and a total falsehood. The Group Managing Director (GMD) of NNPC, Mele Kyari, represented by the Chief Finance Officer Umar Ajiya, said that the revenue projections for the 3-year period of 2021 to 2023 are in 2021. They projected to generate 5.6 trillion naira. In 2022, the projection is 6.575 trillion naira. And in 2023, they expect to generate a total of 7.37 trillion naira. It also urged the National Assembly to carry out a forensic audit on the claim if it also desired as approved the corporation's yearly budgets. Still on the business news, the National Economic Council (NEC) says 16 states have so far received 100 million naira grants each for the World Bank to ease the impact of the COVID-19 lockdown. Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State virtually briefed State House correspondents after the virtual NEC meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo on Thursday. The virtual NEC was anchored from the Presidential Villa, Abuja. The World Bank recently made a proposal of $1.5 billion to states as part of economic stimulus to cushion the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Governor Sule said the council received the progress report of its ad hoc committee interfacing with the Presidential Task Force (PTF) on COVID-19 to ease the lockdown of the economy. And on the international scene, President Muhammadu Buhari Thursday in Abuja joined ECOWAS head of state and government in calling for immediate release of President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita of Mali and a return to constitutional order in the country. Speaking at the virtual ECOWAS extraordinary session on the situation in Mali, the president noted that removal of the Malian leader could spiral into more crisis in the country, with devastating consequences for the West African sub-region.
The closure of borders already called for by ECOWAS should be our first line of action. We need to isolate series of sanctions regimes that can create and sustain sufficient pressure on the military to force a return to constitutional governance. The critical issues for resolution in the Malian crisis had been aptly captured as a 4-point pathway to peace. Within that context, and if all parties to the crisis were to abide by those recommendations, the developments now on ground would have been avoided. The action of the military in Mali has regrettably hoisted on us as a sub-region the need to decide the options that will be consistent with the provisions of the Protocol on Good Governance and Democracy, which ECOWAS, African Union, and the United Nations subscribes to. In this context, therefore, Nigeria believes that President Keita and all other detainees should be released unconditionally and with immediate effect.
President Buhari said it saddened him greatly as they met to discuss the turn of events in Mali, which commenced on Tuesday this week, where President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita, his prime minister, and senior members of his government were arrested, resulting in the forceful resignation of the president as well as the dissolution of the parliament. Still on the international scene, Joe Biden on Thursday night accepted the Democratic Party's nomination for president. This culminates political career that spanned 36 years in the Senate, 8 years as vice president, and 2 previous attempts at the nation's highest office. Biden said from the Chase Center in Wilmington, Delaware, it's with great honor and humility that he accepted the nomination for president of the United States. It's time for us, for we the people, to come together. Biden said the election is important because it comes at a time of 4 crises, dealing with the worst pandemic in 100 years, the worst economic decline since the Great Depression, protests for racial justice, and the accelerating threat of climate change. That has been the news from Standard Voice Television. To end the news, a quick look at the major headlines. Petroleum industry bill to be sent to the National Assembly soon. 3 soldiers, 8 insurgents killed in Kukawa attack. Nigerian military arrests 3 foreigners with special ammunition. On business, NNPC to generate 19 trillion revenue between 2021 to 2023. And on the international scene, Buhari and ECOWAS leaders demand release of ousted President Ibrahim Keita. That's the news. On behalf of the production crew, Head of News and Current Affairs Department, Ibrahim Garbatunau, I am Samira Ibrahim, wishing you a pleasant day. Keep watching Standard Voice Television News. Goodbye.